The 9 Dimensions of Conscious Success. It's all about you. Written by David E. Nielson. Narrated by Jeff Moon. Hello, and welcome to the 9 Dimensions of Conscious Success. It's all about you. Thank you for purchasing this audiobook. By the way, we sometimes use a shortcut, 9DCS, in referring to the book or elements from the book. Before we start, I offer just a few bits of information that I believe can make your experience better. The hard copy version of this book has wonderful graphics and information in the appendices, which may be useful to you. We've provided that information on our website at davidenielson.com/resources. More importantly, we will reference the 9DCS model as we move through the book. To help you, I want you to visualize a circle, which combines the elements of a bullseye target with the elements of a clock. This model contains all 9 dimensions, 3 in the center and 6 around the outside of the circle like the numbers on a clock. I'll describe this model now to give you a sort of mental model to which you can refer. Directly in the center, the bullseye, is purpose. A ring around purpose is self-awareness. Then a ring around self-awareness is social awareness. Now we transition to 6 dimensions, which are positioned around the outside of the circle like the numbers on a clock. At 1 o'clock is authenticity. At 3 o'clock, work ethic and personal responsibility. At 5 o'clock, listening. At 7 o'clock, articulation. At 9 o'clock, humor. And finally, at 11 o'clock is gratitude. Again, you can see this model to aid in your visualization on the website at davidenielson.com/resources. Let's get started. Chapter 1. Managing Life. Life is difficult. Dr. M. Scott Peck began his best-selling book, The Road Less Traveled, with these words: "Life is difficult." I started reading the book during a difficult time in my life. Its impactful message of journeying toward a higher level of self-understanding became clear to me then and is even clearer to me now. This whole notion of life being difficult started me thinking. When I was growing up, we were taught to work hard and there would be fruits to our labors. We could have a good steady job with a company, buy an affordable home, and achieve the lifestyle we would like. Life was hard, but it was not overwhelmingly difficult. Life was a game that had definite rules. The amount of effort equaled the amount of return. If you worked hard, you would have enough money to support and raise a family, hopefully own your own home, and even pay it off by retirement time. Now to some, this might seem like some utopian-themed black-and-white sitcom. Things have changed. Life has become more difficult and complicated because of the fluidity of life now. People change jobs much more frequently. Technology and communication is evolving at a very fast pace. And young people have to be willing not only to keep up with all the changes, but move forward deliberately and consciously. When I consider those who are just now starting out, either readying for college or another path, or beginning a career, I get a bit nostalgic and concerned. It seems life's degree of difficulty is significantly higher now than previous times. But if equipped to make wise and conscious decisions, there is every probability your journey will be exciting, as well as productive and fruitful. Life's degree of difficulty. Warning: the information you are about to read may be alarming. For example, inflation puts us all at the mercy of the almighty dollar. Simply put, the cost of food, energy, and shelter has increased over time. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Price Index, an item that cost $100 in 1980 now would cost more than $291.55. That is a 191% increase. Then and now costs. 1980. Average monthly rent, $300. Average cost of a new home, $68,700. Gas, $1.19 a gallon. Car, $7,900. Loaf of bread, 50 cents. 2016. Average monthly rent, $1,213.13, a 300% increase. Average cost of a new home, $188,900, a 175% increase. Gas, $2.31 a gallon, a 94% increase. A car, $22,000, 178% increase. A loaf of bread, $2.32, a 364% increase. Statistics from the United States Census Bureau. 1980. Median household income adjusted for inflation, $48,462. 2014 median household income adjusted for inflation, $53,013. That is a $5,000 increase, but the cost of living has skyrocketed. Here are a few other numbers to consider. Number of households in 1980, 82,368,000. Number of households in 2014, 124,587,000. In 2008, the unemployment rate reached the highest level in more than 14 years. In 18 months, 3.3 million workers were added to the jobless rolls. The economy was in a deep depression, with millions of working families unable to find jobs. When the economy rebounded, new jobs were created and new businesses emerged, which prompted viable competition between people searching for desirable positions. Now that more people are employed, there are more people competing for the jobs they want, just like you. What becomes important now is how you can differentiate yourself among those competing for their own success. That is one of the key principles discussed in this book. Being bold and standing out in your chosen endeavor in order to get the respect, recognition, and opportunities you want and deserve. In short, to achieve the success you want. Competitive edge. How do you compete in today's market? How do you stand out amongst the vast sea of eligible candidates? One of the main ways is through education. Having an Ivy League pedigree sounds great, if you have the wallet for it, but is it really the differentiator it once was? I'm a big believer in the idea that most people should give college a try. It was a tremendous experience for me. I remember most of it, and it can help develop an individual in many ways beyond academics. Start first by determining what your passion might be. One big challenge now is that college educations are outrageously expensive and beyond the reach of many. I'm not suggesting that an education is not important. It could be very important, depending on your goals. What I am suggesting is that it takes more than college credentials to ensure your success. Regardless of the university attended and the exemplary grades earned, that means very little if people lack the basic skills and behaviors that enhance their ability to interact effectively with other human beings. No matter how smart they are, the failure to form effective interpersonal relationships to achieve a common goal is always a handicap. Regardless of outstanding qualifications on paper, they will not be as great as they could be if they lack the skills and characteristics to work well with others. From grim to exciting. So far, I have painted a pretty grim picture while providing some context for the life is difficult fact. Today, we are expected to know more, and produce it faster. But obviously many are making it, so what do they do differently? How do they get noticed? There is an old adage, what got you where you are won't take you where you want to go. I agree. There must be a new strategy based on proven past experiences, and that is what you will learn in this and the following chapters. When I look at my successful career and the world of work in general, it is clear that every job involves interaction with others at various levels. In most workplaces, there are frequent interactions between coworkers, management, clients, etc. Teams are a common element in most companies. Show me the way. This book explores being present, being noticed, and most importantly, how to be consciously successful. So how you show up in life is a conscious choice, an important choice, it turns out. My father was a significant influence and friend throughout my life. When I was young, he was great at showing me the way, even showing me a better way if he thought the path I was on was leading me toward trouble. He wasn't overprotective, he was helpful. Like a lot of young kids, I wasn't always paying attention to my parents when they provided direction. When Dad wanted to ensure I heard and understood his advice, he packaged it within a memorable mnemonic, such as, "David, use your head for something other than a hat rack." That would be followed by a tip or some other good advice and encouraging me to think before you act. I always smiled when he said that. Thinking before we act increases self-awareness and leads to higher consciousness of the moment. I'm careful not to represent these ideas as new, although many may seem new to you. We have enormous capacity for learning, but most importantly, we have truly enormous capacity for relearning. Some of the most profound aspects of life you already know. You learn them at a young age, but perhaps you haven't considered their value in your current circumstances. In this book, I present a set of necessary skills and behaviors for the world in which you live and work. In short, I offer a framework for conscious success. This framework is universally useful, yet lacking in many people in today's world. This model is offered to everyone of any age who wants to advance in their career, business, life. If you have a pulse, you qualify and can benefit from continuing to listen. Lessons learned. I recently had lunch with my two older sisters, and we talked about how great it was to have grown up when we did, when life was far simpler. When I consider my life's journey to the present, my first reaction is how fortunate I've been. I have tremendous gratitude for the lessons I learned and am sharing with you now. I had a great childhood, a solid, fun college experience, and then went to work full-time. I had a successful career in the corporate world, and since then have achieved success as an independent management consultant. I'm naturally curious, and so it's normal for me to wonder what contributed to any success I've had and how it is different from the experience of others. I am absolutely convinced that any success I've had is far less due to my college degree and more due to skills I've picked up along the way based on increasing my self-awareness. A lot more discussion on that in a bit. I've met many people over the years who are smarter, in some cases much smarter than I am, but they have not achieved the level of success I've experienced. What made the difference? When I examine those situations, I can point to one or more of the elements discussed in this book as the cause of not achieving their full potential. I didn't think much about consciousness for many years of my life. I wasn't very aware or deliberate. Remember my water skiing experience? I had almost no sense of purpose. I had low self-awareness, and I was also socially unaware. I was just sort of stumbling through life. I suppose I was lucky in some aspects, but relying on luck is not the most strategic approach. It is a high-risk approach with an increased incidence of failure. Conscious competence model. According to Noel Birch, a conscious competence model is a continuum that illustrates how most people learn something new. Learning to drive a car for the very first time is a good example. 1. We start in unconscious incompetence. We don't know what we don't know. 2. Through trial or education, we learn about what we don't know. Now we may be consciously incompetent. We know what we don't know. 3. Through practice, usually with some instruction and knowledge, we can arrive at conscious competence. 4. Through overlearning and habit, we get to unconscious competence. All of this involves self-awareness. More about that in a bit. In moments of clarity, when I look back to what was successful for me, some definite patterns emerge. To that, there is a wonderful adage, which I cite often. Good judgment comes from experience, and a lot of experience comes from bad judgment. In my younger days, I must have had a lot of experience, because I sure demonstrated a lot of bad judgment. I've learned a lot over the years from mistakes and bad decisions. Now I strive to help others avoid those same missteps. If you are open to learning from your mistakes, that's great. You can gain a lot from being aware, but you can learn a lot more and less painfully by being proactive. First, take off the blindfold and be conscious of yourself and your environment. Then, walk through life with purpose along a well-thought-out path. I know the learning curve can be shortened with the proper structure and direction. That's been proven repeatedly by successful people for decades. In my own case, I could have saved myself and others around me a lot of headaches. I will provide a pathway or roadmap to the critical components of being successful in the current landscape. What kind of animal is success? Let's start with the concept of success. The Oxford English Dictionary definition is the accomplishment of an aim or purpose. What is key about this definition is that it is quite broad, allowing you to define success in terms that are meaningful to you. It may or may not have anything to do with position, title, wealth, lifestyle, acquisitions, etc. Another key element of the definition of success is the word purpose. I talk a lot about purpose, and in particular, living your life on purpose. There are at least two meanings to that phrase. 1. Living your life with intent, not accidentally or capriciously. And 2. Living your life according to a carefully defined purpose you have consciously considered, planned, and documented. Literally, it is having a purpose statement. In Appendix B, you will find a copy of my own purpose. My personal focus is examining success and being able to produce it proactively for myself. That might be a challenging enough assignment by itself, even more so when the barriers to achieve it are significant. So, think about what your own definition of success is. Make a conscious effort to define it in practical and concrete terms. Whether you believe you can do a thing or not, you are right. Henry Ford. Attitude. Before we jump into the what and how of conscious success, I want to give a nod to an important overarching notion: positive attitude. I was blessed to have mentors and influences in my life who were pretty universally positive. I've seen firsthand that a positive outlook generally frames everything in a better light. Even under dire circumstances, a positive attitude helps minimize the negative and acts as a catalyst to move towards something better. Certainly, much has been written on this subject, and perhaps it is a very old idea, but that doesn't negate the importance of it. Attitude is a personal choice. I choose to respond terrific when someone asks how I am. I authentically see things in my life as being terrific, and say affirmations each week to reinforce that positive outlook. For some, that is easier said than done. I get that, but it is a choice, so I encourage you to choose a positive attitude. We can't leave it there, however, because 1, it makes for a very short book, and 2, I believe there are several tactics that will dramatically improve your probability of success against some tall odds of negativity. So now, on to my research into conscious success. A look outside my box. My curiosity about this notion of success, particularly conscious success, had me thinking. I observed what the elements of my own success were and how my self-awareness was a key element. But was I unique? Or was I just making correlations between ideas and connecting them in ways that fit my thesis? If I wished to teach others what constitutes conscious success and develop a model that worked to support and develop that awareness, I had to reach outside my box and ask others. A man I admired greatly once told me a story about a talk he had given to his newly formed team shortly after he had been promoted. He was encouraging teamwork and the notion of the strength of the group. He said, "Look, folks, about the only thing I can really do by myself is go to the bathroom." Perhaps that is a bit earthy, but it was a memorable way to make the point. Famous author, mentor, and servant leader Ken Blanchard likes to say that none of us is as smart as all of us. Validating and generating. Central to the success of a lot of individual ideas is validating the idea with others. A very helpful process is to seek advice from those we trust when faced with important decisions. I've been very fortunate in life to have met and spent time with really great people. So I decided to tap into that great resource to validate my own ideas and generate some new ones. I thought about people who were successful, and I developed questions as a basis for interviews I would conduct. I was looking for patterns that not only supported my notion, but also developed a premise around which I could create a model. Then I would share those conclusions with readers like you who could learn from my research and not have to reinvent the success wheel. I'm very grateful to all the people who took the time with me to be interviewed. Their valuable contributions are woven throughout this book. I began this chapter with the phrase, "Life is difficult." Although life can be difficult at times, my intent is to make life less difficult by giving you an advantage. You can compete and succeed easier and faster using new tools, new ideas, and new strategies. In each chapter, you will be presented with concepts that may take you some time to digest. To assist in that absorption of ideas, there is a practical application section, Now What? This section includes strategies, activities, and further points to ponder. The following is your first Now What to consider. You may want to have a notebook handy to record your answers, feelings, and actions you want to take in response. Now what? 1. What are your goals for success? How are you defining them? Are you considering things other than career and money in those goals? 2. What are your current challenges? Not enough time? Not enough money? No ability to advance? Write these down. As you progress through this book, you will begin to find strategies for solving these issues. 3. If you attended college, is having the degree producing the results you want, the success for which you strive? 4. Is your college experience differentiating you enough to achieve your success goals? 5. What other ways can you leverage your talents to make money without the need for further education? What are you passionate about? Are you passionate about the work you do? If not, how could you build a business around your passion? I am here for a purpose, and that purpose is to grow into a mountain, not to shrink to a grain of sand. Henceforth will I apply all my efforts to become the highest mountain of all, and I will strain my potential until it cries for mercy. Og Mandino, the greatest salesman in the world.